Welcome everyone to Wednesday Night Live. We are all back. Yeah. Allison is, well, actually, we're not all back, but Allison is back and feeling better.
A little bit, yeah.
Tim has got his our current vape news. Paul has got our international vape news, maybe. And I got two articles I feel we need to talk about. So let's get right to it and have Tim say hello to our amazing viewers out there. Timmy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday Night Live show on episode. I've been trying to count 91. I think it's 91. We're fast approaching episode 100. Yeah, so I'm glad that everyone's here for the anticipation of 9 more shows until we get there. So welcome, Mallory Gates. How are you? Always great to see you. Shannon Brown. Yes, I already they get double hellos. I said hello in the chat too. Green Thumb Waza. How you doing, man? Jake Schweitzer. What's up, brother? How are you, man? And I think that's it for right now. We got they're creeping in. People are coming in fast and strong. They'll get here. It'll be up to 8 in about an hour.
Paul's giving us sign language. He's doing something. He's got his what is that?
Wait.
Go.
Oh, the apartment looks different. Is Paul's background? Does it look different to you?
Everything is vanishing slowly. It's like the metrics over there.
Well, I know the table by the window is gone, but I don't know. I just feel like that hallway leading to the back looks different.
Eventually, there'll just be a chair there. No microphone. It'll just be a chair. No Paul. Everything will just kind of slowly.
Hey, Curtis Clemens, how are you, brother? Good to see you, man. How you been, bud?
It'll be just a chair there, no microphone. Everything is just slowly disappearing in Paul's set there.
Mm-hmm. No, I've got couriers and stuff appearing this morning. Leave me alone.
Oh.
Very
Welcome to the show, Paul. We missed you.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh no! What the hell?
I got my sound effects back, baby. Yeah.
No.
It's torture. It's torture. Yeah. Timmy, you already talked. Hold on. Let's start with Allison.
Yeah, go to somebody else. Break
Allison,
me up a little bit.
How are you feeling? You're feeling better, and we're glad you're back. How's your week going?
I mean, back to work, so swamped because I missed almost an entire week from COVID round 2. But I'm feeling a little bit better today.
COVID is your bitch.
Yep, that's right. Me down.
Can I say that? Yes, I can. I guess I already did. I just did. So we're glad you're back. We missed you. Missed
you guys too.
Paul, how's your week going?
Busy. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I see you're redecorating. That takes a lot of time.
Yeah, sort of, kind of, because I'm actually moving my office now out into the lounge room, so I've got a lot more room.
Nice, better acoustics.
Yeah, that as well, but it's nice. It's a lot more space.
Good, nice, man. We can't wait. We can't wait to see it.
Well, then I'm going to sit in a big lounge chair and just put my feet up and
I did.
When you need some LEDs, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I'll get LEDs too then.
Yeah. Tim, remember when I was looking at chairs for this show and I wanted to buy a lounge chair? You're like, you can't do the show with a lounge chair.
No, he wanted like a gaming chair with like the whole lounge layout thing, like with the ottoman part built into it. And I'm like, what the fuck are you going to do? Have like a fizzy drink or a coconut with an umbrella in it while we're out trying to have the show? Think if you just stretched out like you're in first class? Come on, man.
I was.
Set up like a real human being.
I was going to buy one of those big ass.
Yeah, possibility. But
yeah, I want it to swivel. Just this big fluffy lounge chair, with a cup holder and a little TV tray on the side of it. Yeah. Just kick back like I'm on a podcast. Just say, hey guys.
Yeah.
What?
We fall
even with
asleep while the show's
yeah.
going on.
And a massage feature and all of that built into it, I suppose.
Oh, I didn't even think about that one. Yeah, I
Oh,
would have
damn.
got one with
His
massages.
voice just vibrating the whole time.
Shiatsu, whatever that massage thing is. I don't know what it's
That-
called.
That just sounded wrong too. Vibrating the whole time. Yeah, that's a bit of a worry.
I can hear it now. Where's that low rumbling sound coming from? and me with a fistful of quarters. Yeah. No.
Takes me back to the old motel days
Yeah. Oh.
with the vibrating beds.
Yeah, if you watch Supernatural, you'll laugh. We're laughing because that's one of the all the time when they go in there, they make sure they have a vibrating bed, and you gotta have quarters.
I'll be honest though, I think every hotel I was in that had one, it was like the ice cream machine at McDonald's. It was always broken.
Always broken.
Yeah,
It was always broken. It never fucking worked.
Yeah.
And then you'd like it would
Yeah.
eat like 4 quarters, and you'd be like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
But let's be honest. Did you really want it to work?
Yes.
You did.
Well, I mean, when you were like 8 and you went to the mall and they had like the little rocket ship that you could put 25 cents in, and the damn thing didn't do anything but just kind of go, for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. And mom would never let you get on it. No, we don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. So she'd take you back off to the car after, And yes, I wanted the stupid vibrate. And then I was in control of my life.
Yeah.
I could want.
Everybody say hello to Curtis. I just saw Curtis out there. Hello, Curtis.
Curtis is here.
You guys want to talk about who wants to go first? Who wants to go? Allison,
I
would
want to
you
go
like
first and tell you how I've been. How was my week
Oh,
going?
did we not go there?
No, I just said hello to
Oh,
everybody.
okay, all right. Everybody get settled in.
I only have one thing to talk about.
Oh, God.
One thing. I'm going to drop some TikTok knowledge on everyone
Ooh. Uh-oh, hold on. Go ahead.
because I spend way too much fucking time looking at that dumb stuff. Did you know all of us are old enough here, including Today Days Old, that we buy our regular garbage trash bags for like the kitchen, not like the 55-gallon, not the big ones. I'm talking about like your 13-gallon standard trash. Did you know that when you pull it off the roll, what does everybody do? You open up the top and you shake it like that. You put it in the trash can and you go on your way, right? Next time I encourage you to go and take a bag off the roll when you have to change the trash bag. Motherfuckers are inside out.
What?
I'm not kidding you. I had to do this today. Now, I know we're probably going to stop the show right now for validation. Yeah, well, is that a standard one with the drawstrings? No, it has to be drawstrings. You have
I buy scented ones. I never noticed that.
Okay, well, anyway, look at the seam on the outside. Kid you not, it's inside out. You're supposed to put the bag up over the top of the can and then push it through, and then the seam is on the inside.
Oh, you learned something.
I tested this at work, and I was literally my life was changed forever.
You were blown away.
And then everybody asked the typical question afterwards, like, "What the fuck does it matter? Like, who cares? You're just gonna put trash in it and throw it away." I'm like, "Well, but it's stronger." I'm just saying it's like an anomaly. But I'm telling you, next time you pull the bag off the roll, I don't think Paul's work. You have to have the drawstring style.
Yeah.
Look at it. The seams are inside out. You'll thank me later for that one.
It's got the little things.
That's a special
Yeah,
Australian
no, Paul.
garbage bag.
Paul's looks like he just got the extra large ones that you get at the grocery store that you collect about 8,000 of.
He is right. It's inside out.
See, I told you.
It was a little one.
You're supposed to put it over the top of the can and then push the bag down.
Push it down
and then,
into the bag,
and
yeah.
my theory is that when the seam is on the inside and it's correct, it folds over and it makes it a little bit
I was
stronger.
gonna say it doesn't maybe get as static, like stuck together.
Well, no, you may have to release some of the air, but
Oh.
yeah. So I don't know. You don't have to do it. I just thought that was interesting
Oh, I
information.
have to do it now.
Yeah, you have to do it now. You got to do it now.
Well, look, see, Curtis found. He's like, "I'll be damned." See, look, everybody's looking at their bags right now.
Everybody stop. Thanks for everything.
You were today's day. You were today days old when you just
to
found
go
out.
check their garbage bags. Curtis,
Educating the public here.
and I cannot wait to use that in conversation later tonight. when I run into somebody. I'm gonna wait until I'm at the supermarket right by the garbage bags. When somebody grabs a box, I'm just gonna shoot right in. Hey, did you know? I'm gonna rip it out of the box right there, and they're gonna be like, "Holy shit, you're
Change
right."
lives, John. Change lives.
Yeah, I think that is one of those that'll just make it, go,
See, Curtis said he's it's right, but he said he's like, fuck it, I'm still gonna do it the old way.
At least he tried.
And that is your vape news for today.
Thank you, Cleveland. Good night.
Back to you at the studio. We need like the more you know star going across the
Oh yeah, we'd probably get hammered for that one.
We could add a new segment to the show called TikTok Tips, and I could do it.
Oh, there we go. TikTok tips.
Yeah.
TikTok
Say
tips
that
with
10
Tim's
times.
TikTok Tips. Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah.
I couldn't even say it once.
We could go hours with that TikTok knowledge. Allison, would you like to go first, Allison?
Sure, why not?
Okay, let's share your new bumper. Well, this is just a test run, guys. We're gonna have a newer one, so hopefully it flew by with Facebook. No issues with Facebook, so let's just keep our fingers crossed. And nobody is a Facts of Life fan on YouTube and doesn't block and mute the video.
Take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life. There's a time you gotta go and show you grow, and now you know about the facts of life.
There you go, Allison.
Right. Okay, so I'm sure everyone does not want to talk about that paved bullshit today. So we're going to focus on some positivity, some good positive vaping articles coming out of some pretty prestigious schools. So the first one we have is from Rutgers. The title of this one is New Jersey Researchers Make the Case for Using E-Cigarettes. E-cigarettes have gotten a really bad rep lately, basically talking about the numerous stories about how scary they are, how dangerous they are. But it says that they insist that there are health benefits and they should not be ignored. A professor in the Department of Biostatistics and Epidemiology and a researcher at Rutgers Center for Tobacco Studies, Michelle Bover-Mandersky, says that the public needs to recognize there is tobacco harm continuum. Something like combustible cigarettes would place at one end of the spectrum and vaping would be at the other end. So shocking that we have that one. And then we have another one here from Yale News.
Yeah.
About tax increases on e-cigs likely to boost cigarette smoking among adults. And this one is about the 30 states and DC that have implemented taxes on these products, and a growing body of evidence suggests that among adults, these taxes can increase cigarette smoking. And they're saying that it's more harmful than vaping nicotine. So like, I think a lot of shocking, all of a sudden, they're like a growing body of evidence that we've been screaming about for how long is now actually being acknowledged.
Yeah.
So,
I got a quick question because I've noticed, how did Rutgers get so involved in this? I mean, all of a sudden they're just become the university that's all about, either positive or negative stuff about are they known for this types of studies or something?
I mean, this came from the Rutgers Center for Tobacco Studies. So obviously they have, a place to do things like this. It's just nice to see that, they're actually saying the truth. Who knows? Maybe Michelle Bover, whatever her last name was, is a jeweler. I feel like the whole jewel thing has really made people more
She's
vocal.
a jeweler. She's a jeweler. Well, because it wasn't Rutgers the school that was named. Everybody remembers that old video that the name that will not be mentioned on the show. Tim knows who I'm talking about. But isn't that the students that came into Rutgers, into his vape shop, asking him how to use the device? Wasn't it Rutgers, Tim? Do you remember that? Yeah, you sound amazing, dude, like a rock star. Unmute yourself.
I'm trying to be nice and not vape on the show. It was about Rutgers University. It was Jay Hayes, and
Jay
he was
Hayes.
in the shop, and he had the cameras on, and he was in the back room, and this girl came in, who was part of the research department, and they were doing a study on vape devices and the effects of vape devices on, I guess, humans. They had a machine or some shit that they had built or created or whatever. And she came in to ask for tips on how to use the unit because they weren't able to get the unit to stay on for a certain amount of time. And he had to explain to them that it has an auto cutoff after 10 seconds. It shuts down on you so that it doesn't overheat or cause any problems. And then he kind of lectured them, which was kind of cool, about how he disagreed that they were doing vape studies at a university when they didn't even know how to use the device. He before he would even disclose or tell her how to use the device or what buttons she needed to press and how she needed to do what, he was very reluctant to even give her that information because he was worried that it was concerning they were trying to use something that they didn't know anything about. But she kind of revealed the whole thing, like what they were trying to do.
Right.
And, he was like basically putting it out there as what he called vaping gold.
Yeah.
To kind of highlight the fact that
they were, remember, they didn't understand why the vapor wasn't coming out of the device when they pushed the button. That was the funny part. And he's like trying to explain to them that you need to suck. You need something that sucks. You need to get, and she's just like, well, we keep pushing the button and we don't seem to be getting the same amount of vapor that everybody else is getting out of their tank. And he just kind of looked at them like, Yeah, I find it funny that because they seem to be in a lot of articles, and I didn't know they had a whole tobacco department out there. So maybe that's why they are so involved. But then again, that makes you kind of wonder who's funding that department.
Yeah,
it's actually growing. That department it has been for probably the best part of 2 years now. I think a lot of it's government funding, but I'm not sure whether or not we've got the nasty person in there actually funding it as well. But
I want to see what senator and congressman graduated from Rutgers.
Yeah,
that's how it works. It's all about alums, baby. It's all about alums and where money goes. Yes, I'm go ahead. I'm sorry, Allison.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. So I just wanted to celebrate that a little bit. It's always nice to see that, especially when, it's not coming from the typical, people that always have our back, like Filter and stuff like that. It's actually coming like a legitimate study was done and they have the data to back it up. So, and then of course, we do have, and I have to mention, because, I love Clive Bates. Whenever he puts anything out, I feel like it's Christmas. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to read this. And he basically it's basically from FDA to PMI, a sellout or a bold move for public health, discussing the Matt Holman resignation as the director of the Office of Science and at Center for Tobacco Products at the FDA, moving to Philip Morris to be the vice president of U.S. Scientific Engagement and Regulatory Strategy. And he basically goes, and I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's long, and I don't have his great accent to go along with it, but he's basically saying, I really hope that you're doing this for the right reasons. I've had some interactions with you, and I do believe that that's the case. And then he goes on to, giving him some advice. He literally says, here's some advice, whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
And I definitely think, I sent you the link to this one too. We can throw it up so people can take a look at it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which one it is here. Is that the very last one you sent me, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the picture of the dude. Yeah.
The dude, yeah.
The dude. I got you. I got it.
Yep.
I got to put that in
there.
there.
Definitely worth a read. I like, the points. He makes some really good points as usual, and, remains hopeful, which, you have to.
Sell out or bold move. Okay, I found it. Yeah, I got it. It's in there, guys. All the articles that Allison's talked about, I posted in the chat there, so you guys can click and check those out too. And
I'd like to hear everyone's opinion on why he actually jumped ship. That's a good one.
Well, I mean, at that next Generation Nicotine Delivery conference that I was at, did Todd, his last name is escaping me right now, but he was there. He's actually taking the interim spot between him and another guy until they find a replacement for him. And he basically said, like, if your mindset or you voice opinions that the FDA doesn't agree with, or it's not in the direction that they're going in, that you can lose your job. So maybe because I think this is the gentleman that when Mark made his speech, he was there. And I think they had like some good open conversations. And I think he was very open-minded, which it's unfortunate that he left the FDA if that's the case, because we need people like that there that, will be open-minded. But I feel like if you look at all the replacements that they're bringing in, they all have that same prohibition, ban everything kind of mentality. And I think that's what they're looking for in a candidate.
Do you think, here's a hypothetical question, do you think him moving to PMI will then, he'll be able to teach them a few tricks of what's going on in the back rooms of the FDA?
I mean, he's the one who signed off on their approval. So, and
Right.
everyone else is MDO. So, I mean, if that's not a conflict of interest already before he even left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, whether or not it's a conflict of interest, or is there an ulterior motive now that something else might be in the pipeline that none of us know about?
I'm sure
there is.
All right, point taken.
But we're not talking about negativity, so we're not going to speculate.
No, I was just I was just curious.
Not see the public health opportunity pursuing that strategy. I share your optimism at this point. I'm just kind of read it real quick. And it talks a little bit about why he's the move, but
why
somebody paid him.
It's it's America, man. It's all about the dollar signs. But yeah, you're putting someone in that position that's we already kind of got a good idea. So he's not going to change his ways. He's going to stick to his guns and
right. I mean, if he had left the FDA and come to work for e-cig Charleston, I would have been like, that's some news right there. But going to work for PMI, they already have an approval, so they're just going to continue to get approvals for whatever else they decide to put on the market.
Do I have there we go. I'll give him this. I'll give him that.
He's not the first one to do stuff like this, where he's left like large federal agencies and gone to work for the tobacco companies. Probably
there's another person from the FDA that works for PMI that does their regulatory affairs.
Yeah, and then sometimes it goes the other way, doesn't it? They leave the tobacco companies and come to work for the federal government.
Yep.
So it's like double whammy. I don't know. I don't ever trust the sheep's and the wolves in sheep's clothing like that. I feel like there's an ulterior motive to a move like that. I certainly don't think it's for positive reasons. I don't think that it's done to benefit anybody. It may be really more or less just to kind of allow those big companies to keep their foot in the door because he's got connections on the inside.
Right. Because his name's also on our MDO. So, if he really was a champion for harm reduction.
His name is on your MDOs?
Oh, really? He's on every MDO and every approval. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a little fishy.
Mm-hmm.
But they can get away with that. They can get away with all that nonsense. I mean, it's just, Mm-hmm. You got anything else, Allie?
I don't think so.
I can elaborate on the Rutgers story that she did. I kind of took notes on the whole thing, so we can go over some of the quotations and stuff that the researchers talked about. And then when we get to me, I've got another one that was.
It's just you and I. GMOs. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, no, I was just, we can go ahead and talk a little bit more about the Rutgers story. Yeah. So as Allison had mentioned, that basically these were researchers that were involved with the Rutgers Center for Tobacco Studies, and they're basically just sort of coming out of their shell a little bit and saying that while, there's still a lot of research that needs to be done on e-cigarettes, that they're not 100% safe, but we've all said that anyway. we haven't necessarily said that they're 100% healthy. They said that, and I wanted to read some of the quotes. Let me get to the quote sections. Am I on the right one? Yes, I am on the right one. This Michelle, and they've spelled her name different in two parts of the story, so I was confused. Is it Mendersky or is it Menderky? Somebody spell it right for us, please. Who was the copy editor on this article? She said something like regular cigarettes I would place on one, like she said, on one end of the spectrum, and then something like vaping would be on the other end. We do have evidence that e-cigarettes are certainly not harmless, but they are orders of magnitude less combustible than tobacco. So she's actually working with another researcher by the name of Julia Chen Sankey. They all hyphenate their names. Everybody's married out the wazoo. And assistant professor. She's an assistant professor in the Department of Health, Behavior, Society, and Policy of the Rutgers School of Public Health. And this is where, with these researchers and stuff like that, like they send a severely mixed message, right? Because you kind of want to root for them because they have something sort of positive to say about vaping in terms of trying to maybe sway opinion towards the adult market. But then they kind of go back, they kind of backstep on themselves, and they say stuff like, well, she agreed it's important to limit flavorings and marketing restrictions in place for e-cigarettes so they don't appeal to kids. Well, then what are you saying in terms of being pro-vaping? Yes, if there's benefits and there's some harm reduction benefit for adults, we rely heavily on the flavors as a component to keep us away from smoking. So are you opining for the fact that yes, vaping should be available, but only in very limited sets of flavors like tobacco? Or are you saying, what do you mean by limiting flavors? I don't understand what they try to say about that.
Well, that could essentially too be the funding right there, trying to stay in line with that message to ban. Yes, this has great potential, but not with flavors.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. She basically went on to say that she believes there should be a balanced approach because they don't want to encourage the youth to start using addictive products like that. But she said we also don't want to go to the point that we've talked other people out of it who might otherwise benefit from using e-cigarettes. Those people I'm talking about would be adults who are addicted to combustible cigarettes, which is effectively the whole entire fight. The whole entire reason why why we do what we do and we are involved like we are is for that reason. So I guess, it's not that long of an article. There's not a whole ton of information that's really beneficial overall. But why don't people like this, who effectively come from prestigious universities or, at least from some source of clout in some way, why don't they ever get a seat at the table? Why don't they ever get to testify in front of Congress and put their evidence forth? Instead, we just sort of get the regurgitated FDA, CDC, neophytes that just kind of parrot the same garbage, these doctors and scientists who say all this horrible stuff. Obviously, these people are willing to put themselves out there to say what they feel.
Yeah. But only to a certain
extent. It doesn't fit their agenda.
You see, like, the people that really go out there and say, and a lot of them lose credibility or have negative, reactions from people, and they don't want to lose, that status or their funding either. So I feel like it's a really, they basically, okay, fine, it's better for you, but still not enough to allow you to have the kind of flavor that you want or need to use.
Yeah, and you think about it, a lot of those guys, they're running, they're running schools and they're running, labs, and they have a very, very, let's just be honest, a very high paying job they don't want to lose. It's sad that, they're so afraid of losing these. And you got to think most of these professors have tenure. So it's really like they can't get pushed out of their position.
Funding, though. It's the
funding. But the funding, that's the problem is, they want to do research on other things and they need that funding. And if they don't have that funding, they can't pursue those things. And it's really bullshit.
Well, we've seen in other parts of the world when professors have actually come out on our side, and a very good example of that is Dr. Mawaya Glover from New Zealand, and she was black banned by the rest of her peers for speaking up when she was in tobacco control for all those years. She flipped when she saw the benefits,
Right.
and then she was blackballed.
Yep.
And told not to speak. You know, you can't speak to you anymore, or you, or you, or you.
Mhm.
I think that's really, really unfair.
Yeah.
You know,
And unfortunately, more of these researchers and, you know, people in these positions care more about the reputation than they do about doing the right thing.
but now we are seeing a paradigm shift, though, with people that are doing proper studies and proper data sets. We're seeing them now. They're actually looking at the real data and going, but hang on, this does work.
Mhm.
Let's talk about it. Let's have a proper open discussion, and let's collaborate around the world together. Sure, there is that community, but again, they're frowned upon by their peers and by the deans of the colleges.
Right.
What do you think if the pro vaping doctor and you got the anti vaping doctor, if the pro vaping doctor just said, okay, well, how you tell us how we can improve this, you tell us how this could be safer, and then just end that whole argument altogether. If it's so bad for you, then show us. Tell me what could this industry do to make it safer and make it more. If the only thing they say is get rid of flavors, then their whole argument is bullshit. Their
Right.
whole
Yeah.
argument is
There's no
bullshit.
science to show why that's a legitimate thing at
Right.
all.
Yeah. Flavors have nothing to do with safety, or it doesn't hurt. It doesn't do anything. So if that's your whole argument, if one of these doctors were to say, "Hey, show us, come on, you're such a specialist in tobacco harm reduction. How can we make this product safer and better for the consumer?" And then let's hear it. Let's hear what you have to say. And show us the science. Put the science out front.
Why is the vanilla in the tobacco any
Right.
less dangerous than the vanilla in the custard?
Exactly. And then just shut the F up and get out of
Right.
the damn way, man.
Well, exactly. That's exactly where I'm coming from. Like, you've got to be able to prove, but the other thing is that the results have to be you have to be able to do that same testing time and time again. It has to be a repeatable study. And it doesn't matter where in the world you do that study, it has to be repeatable.
Yeah.
Sure, the numbers might be a little bit different, but people in the UK, their lungs aren't any different to anywhere else on the planet. Yet
they're pinker over there.
All right. Well,
I'm kidding.
Okay, that's a good comment, but we'd have to check that one out. But
Well, that's why they don't fight us with the science. They fight us with the kids because they can't fight us with the science.
Yeah.
Oh no, they keep getting half of it right and the other half completely wrong.
Yeah.
But when do we actually get to grow up? I thought we're still big kids even once you get into your 50s.
Yeah, I get told to stop knocking it off all the time. Just stop it, John. I don't know. It just, to me, it's just it all, like we always say, it comes down to dollars, and it always comes down to what Paul always talks about is nicotine control, and that's what it really comes down to is just who controls the nicotine and how they're going to distribute it throughout the country, the world, and how much people are going to pay for it, and that's what it really comes down to. So, I mean, we can throw out every study in the world, and they can fight with their studies. We can fight back, and it's just going to come down to who controls the nicotine and who gets it and how they get it. And let's be honest, what our industry buys as far as nicotine compared to, say, a pharmaceutical company is nowhere near what they purchase a year from nicotine. And because they use nicotine and how many drugs, over-the-counter drugs, have nicotine in them? They use it for everything. Sad. Hey, but at least, you know what, guys? At least the Philippines did something right? I mean, there's your feel-good story. I found a feel-good story, and there it is. This is a big deal, I guess. Especially considering everybody else has pretty much got a vape ban in that whole region and area, and it was passed overwhelmingly by 19-2, which is that's pretty impressive, I think. Wow. I mean, that shows a big shift in the way they're looking at harm reduction there in the Philippines. And what else did you? Another thing that I thought was pretty interesting when I read this article is that they also went ahead and changed the purchase date age from 21 to 18. So, I mean, that has got to open up some eyes for other people in other countries saying, look what the Philippines are doing. They would rather have people 18 buy vaping equipment and vape than smoke. So, for them to lower the age from 21 to 18, that's a big deal to me. I mean, am I right, guys?
Oh yeah,
Timmy?
It's huge.
big
It's a
step.
huge thing. I mean, and then what is it? The law allows, let me make sure I get this right. The law allows online sales in products. So when they say online sales, does that mean, I don't know what somebody
Shipping.
in the
Yeah.
Philippines, they order from us here as well? Does that mean that they can order from here? I mean, I don't know how that all works over there.
I don't know
I mean,
about that.
can they order?
Well, I
them,
mean, we're limited by the controls over the shipping companies at this
Right.
point. Doesn't mean that we can't order from China or we can't
Right.
order from Malaysia or we can't order from California.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just limited by the the PACT Act. So,
Yeah.
we struggle there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, and and a lot of states were very similar like that.
Yeah.
Like they banned it within the state. You couldn't sell it in the state, but the person living in the state could order it from out of the state into the state, which
Right. Makes no sense.
Utah.
it made no sense at all. But they kind of knew what was coming down the pike. So I would imagine the Philippines, they can order from anywhere they want. Germany, China. I mean, as
Right.
long as they can get it into that country, barring some kind of import or
Well,
And a lot of the
sanctions.
larger
And-
companies got exemptions. As long as you did, I think it was like $200,000 a year in revenue, then you got an exemption.
Okay. Well, they said the law allows online sales and products with nicotine strength up to 65 milligrams
Wow.
as
I didn't even
6.5%.
know that shit existed.
Yeah, exactly. I read that.
It does.
I was like,
It
that's
does.
some fucking punch right there.
Mhm.
man.
There's a couple of pod makers in China that they're up to 65 meg now. And I heard about it the other day and I went, that's going to hit you for a 6.
Yeah, that's a one hit and done. You hit it
One
once,
hit an
you
hour.
you put it in your pocket, you don't touch it again for a couple hours.
Yeah, I would certainly pass on that. I don't need anything. I don't even need 50. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think they're looking at that number? Because from what I heard, the Philippines and Asia, they're heavy smokers. I mean, they're
Well-
like 2.5, 3 pack a day smokers over there. They're not your, a half a pack or a pack a day guy. They're big time smokers. So maybe they're doing it just to kind of
Meet everybody's
understand.
needs.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
'cause-
the Philippines, their smoking rate from memory is somewhere between like 18 and 25% from memory.
yeah.
But you're looking at that probably. Hang on, I'm going to look it up. Oh crap! That's a lot. There
See,
were
they're-
23.8%, 16.6 million adult report tobacco users in any
Yeah,
form
16 million
overall.
Filipinos. Yeah, 16 million.
Wow!
Yeah, so I'm thinking
Whoa!
they're heavy smokers. They have to be because everyone I've known, not stereotyping here, but I've seen them just chain smoke. They're chain smoking like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, my stepdad's Filipino, and he was a 3-pack-a-day smoker. He would be eating a sandwich for lunch with a cigarette hanging out
With
his
the
mouth.
cigarette bite,
Yeah.
smoke,
Yeah.
bite, smoke.
Super talented.
No, even at my worst, I wasn't that bad. That's
Yeah.
no, you can't
Yeah.
do that one.
Well, I mean, I can't. It's hard for us to really put a gauge on things because when we were transitioning off, we were going like basically, 1 for 1. I mean, if we were lucky to get 24 milligram
Right.
kind of blues or whatever, which I think most of them were 18 anyway, so we were kind of undercutting ourselves, and I think that's why it pretty much was mostly unsuccessful for a lot of us to be that accidental quit or that permanent quit because it was like, this isn't footing the bill. So, but then we went to the freebase ones that were 24 and 36 on the little cardos and all that. And then that I think that's really where the difference was made. Nowadays, the hardcore smokers have a lot more, tools in the toolbox. I mean, they can go and get that 50. And you know what? For all I know, there's somebody who's a 2, 3, 4 pack a day smoker who a 64, 65 would benefit them just to start the process.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't endorse it for anything else. If you've been vaping for 3 or 4 or 5 years and
Right.
that's all you do, you don't need that.
Yeah.
You
God,
don't
no.
need that. I don't. I mean, I might be wrong, but I don't
Right.
think you need it.
When I worked on the retail side, like most of the dual users were people that were smoking 3 packs
Yeah.
a day because
Yeah.
it just wasn't enough.
Man, 65 though. The law gives authority to regulate vaping and heated and tobacco products from the Department of Trade and Industry, the DTI, which is consulted by the Philippine Food and Drug Administration. Are they as bad as ours? Anybody know? Because they've got a lot of control here, from what I understand. It says to set technology standards for safety and quality. The FDA will maintain authority over products making health claims like nicotine replacement therapies. The law includes all customer vaping products, include those that don't contain nicotine. So they're even going after just even your straight juice. You're still going to have to. So they're going to get to regulate everything on their side. And from what I understand from the article, they were one of the groups that was pushing to ban vaping there in the Philippines. So what kind of support you think they're going to get now, knowing that they're going to have to now regulate this? You think they're going to go the same route that our FDA is going and just make it so difficult for shops and manufacturers to even stay function?
I mean, with so much freedom right out the gate, though, like,
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully not. I know that was an area too, like, in the beginning that like the Philippines, there was a big article about like the Bloomberg influence. And like that it was a huge scandal. So like he was outed over there. So I wonder if that has something to do with the change in the attitude.
Yeah. Yeah, because it says which means they will be more younger. Oh, that's the newer part. The new vape law imposes restrictions on where vaping products can be sold, and provides penalties for stores and online retailers that sell to minors. It also restricts advertising, including use of social media influencers and celebrities. Oh boy, there goes those TikTok videos. Go back to telling everybody that the bag is inside out.
Reblow everyone's mind.
I still don't see much of anything on TikTok with regard to vaping.
Me
so
either,
I don't,
Tim. Me either.
I've seen, like I said, one thing, and it was some girl trying to tell her cockamamie story about how she had, she was on a ventilator because of vaping and all this stuff, and I was like, bullshit.
And that bull crap that if you follow one, it's going to be in your feed all the time.
Oh, the algorithm thing.
Yeah, I started following Matt right when he got on there, and Matt is it. I don't see anybody else's vape stuff, and I wanted to kind of see if me following Matt was going to change what I seen, and it didn't change it at all. I mean, Matt's story comes up, but I don't see any other videos associated with vaping other than his on my feed. I never do.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the Philippines and how it all kind of goes down. At least most people can not be in fear of being executed by the president, of the country. Like, I think that's kind of how it all started. He was like willing to basically take people out in the street and shoot them for vaping. Yeah. That's kind of scary.
Well, he had an opportunity to veto this bill before he got booted out with the new president coming in, and that new president didn't even sign it either. So it lapsed the 30 days to go into law. So, I mean, that was kind of surprising. I think that surprised a lot of people. I was trying to find out, too, because I think it said something where in the article where it almost sounds like it's just going to be a plain box, a plain white box with no...
That's
See,
fine.
but like those things don't bother me, though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need some splashy package to sell me something so I feel good about my purchase, because I can do the research otherwise to figure out exactly what's inside the box and am I getting what I really want. You can dumb down the packaging and I'd be fine with that. I mean, Who cares,
I
right?
mean, I'll buy a. I mean, the hardest part will be making sure that you're actually buying the specific flavor you want, because they're not able. I guess they won't be able to name fruits on their labeling, so they can't say this is a
Well, they
banana
might be able to, just probably just black and white, straight up
straight
peach.
up.
Nothing
Yeah,
like exciting, you know.
yeah. No Mickey Mouse on there. No
Yeah.
Donald Duck. You know how they are with that stuff over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that was the only part I thought was kind of weird. I mean, I figured, okay, well, you're gonna have a white box that just has this huge warning label on it, and then just the name. So you're gonna have to. I figured if it were a newer vapor that didn't know what that name meant or what was in there, it'd be really difficult to buy e-liquid and try to find the right one when you have no idea. And let's be honest, I mean, in the beginning, some of these names were horrible. I mean, it made no sense, you're laughing, Paul. You know which one I'm going to go to, both of you guys. Alien piss. Nobody knew what the hell alien piss was. I mean, and unicorn puke. I mean, come on, man. Nobody knew what that shit was.
Yeah, but you could essentially just label them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Give the staff in the store like a menu that explains what it is, and then they can just say, "What is number 1? Oh, it's this."
There's a small part of me though sometimes that feels like no matter what you would have called it, it would have some allure, right? Because if you call it something that's misdirecting, right? You call it box of used Kleenex. That's the name of it. Somebody's gonna be like, "Ooh, I better try that one," because they're trying to cover up something that's probably pretty good.
Mysterious.
Then if you call it something, something like Rainbow Sparkle Splash, then it sounds like it's enticing, and then you're like, "Oh, I better try that because it's Rainbow Sparkle Splash." I just feel like no matter which direction you go, unless you genericize it. Like, remember when I don't even know if they still have it. Well, we used to go to the grocery store when we were little kids, and you'd go to this one section, the generic section,
All the generic.
and it would just be a white bag, and it would just say chips on it.
Yeah.
And so I'm just saying, if go ahead and genericize it.
Yeah, I mean,
we can, if we've got some other way of getting to what the blend is or what the flavor profile is another way, then fine, put it on the shelf and just call it vape juice, and have the company name on it. And you're like, okay, and like Allison's saying, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just put a number on it. I think if you genericized it that way, you kind of almost really kind of androgenize it. It's like,
throw a Mr. Yuck sticker on there. That shit scared the hell out of me. Anything that had a Mr. Yuck sticker, I was like, I'm not touching that.
Put a poison emblem on it. Bam.
As you two down below, they're both in the manufacturing part of it. Do you guys feel that companies would be keen on going that route?
Yes.
If that would just end the whole argument
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
That would end the whole argument altogether and just say, okay, here you go.
Yeah, we're not the ones that are not going to budge.
Exactly. That could be one answer to the overbearing, ominous question. Like, what's one thing you could concede to save the rest?
Yeah.
Get rid of the flashy packaging. Yeah. Get rid of the fancy, colorful, oozing candy with juice coming out of it and friggin' checkerboards and all that fun shit. I mean, who gives a damn, right? I think that's sometimes part of the message where the message gets lost, right? And maybe at times the message gets lost in other ways. But what I mean by that is that, we can go around and flaunt how big of a cloud we can blow, or we can flaunt how flashy the mod is that we have. And we can have all this fun stuff, because I do think that most things need to come with some component of interest or fun. And that applies to anything across the board. I mean, we've even seen like THC devices and stuff, that have LEDs on it and all that. But I'm saying, I think to maybe the general public, it seems like we're kind of flexing. It's like, hey, look at my vaping thing, when really it's about staying off of smoking, not smoking, quitting smoking, saving your life with a healthier alternative. And I think that most people would be agreeable that genericizing everything kind of takes the focus off of it, because then no one's got anything to scream about anymore. Like, wait, the labels
Tim,
are kind of boring.
You know what'll happen, Tim? There'll be one guy that says your box is too white. our boxes need to be white.
Oh,
Needs
what?
to be more of an eggshell.
And then they'll go after the font.
Oh.
That font is just too appealing.
That
Need to change the font.
A study was done at Rutgers, and that's the most attractive
Oh,
font
what?
to children.
Now what? Now we're gonna don't.
Kids
Oh,
love Comic Sans.
whoever. Come on, whoever's gonna. No
Use
font.
robot.
No font police. Okay, no font police. Because, like, even with black and white, okay, you can do some really, really cool stuff as a label, and that's the truth.
I can't
But-
stop laughing from Tim's comment.
I know.
Rutgers did a study.
On the font police are out now. Fucking brilliant.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep, and then Pave will have an offshoot, called Fave, fonts against vaping.
Ban New Times Roman right now.
no.
These letters are way too curvy and exciting.
Exactly.
Oh, shit.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bloomberg, but that looks just like the same font they used on the primary building blocks in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And you know what's going to happen. All the kids are going to want it. They need to change it to an Arial 11.
I don't care what flavor it is. I just want that box with the font on it, man. Oh, we kid, but it's true. They will always try to find something. I do. I know we all believe the same thing. I mean, we could get all this done and everything will settled in, and they would still try to find something that needs to change, no matter how much we give in. It seems like there's always, something my dad used to always say to me. Back in the days when I first started working, one of the companies I worked for was having a hard time, and they were going to cut our wages a little bit. They were going to take $1 or $1.50 away from each one of us, and that we'll promise to give it to you back in the days. And my dad's philosophy was, once you give it to them, you're never going to get it back. Just leave. And I did, and I was right to leave. And that's the same thing applies here. I mean, we can give and give and give. They're always going to want something more from us, no matter what, whether it's taxation, whether it's changing fonts and boxes and flavors. They're just a never ending thing. Pretty soon it's like, well, that vape shop is just too close to, this and that. So you're going to have to, it's too close to residential areas. Pretty soon you're going to have vape shops out in the boonies with no building around it,
just a tumbleweed rolling by.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too, because our high horse is always that open systems. Kids don't use them. Kids don't use them. Kids don't use them. And there's a show on Apple TV, young kid show, and then there's a movie on Netflix I recently saw, and in both shows, kids using a damn box mod.
Yeah.
And I'm
really?
like, they're like, they're like, I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, I felt so attacked. I was like, see, they're listening to us, even though we think they're not, and now they're trying to demonize that too, make it look cool.
Well, prime example was the show that came out. Was it last year or early this year? Euphoria. There was parts in that as well. I remember that openly. And I
This
thought,
is like
wow,
a kid,
here we go.
like a 13-year-old kid sitting in a bathroom using a box mod, blowing like big clouds, and they're like, I can't believe you do drugs. Like that was the scenario.
Yeah.
Whoa.
They wanted to get that out there that they don't just use pens.
Yeah. I was like, hold on, man, I need to back this up and record.
So my
this.
question would be, where did the kid get $80 for the mod and another 40 for the tank? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, but the naive adult or the person who just really has no dog in the fight that's going to see that, they don't care about those smaller details in their world. To us, we're looking at logic. We're like, no average kid is going to have that just because of the costs associated to what kids typically have the money, that they can spend on. Now, by way of comparison, we did find out that some kids are pretty crafty in terms of their capitalistic ventures and find ways to make stickers to make tons of cash so they can go and float other not habits, but ways of having money to spend it on, whether it be clothes, shoes, trendy things, whatever. There are kids that hustle and they do figure it out, but I disagree wholeheartedly with the idea that they start taking things like box mods and stuff and then inserting that into the negative media hype and vibe. It wasn't that funny, John. It was an okay joke.
It's pretty funny
It
once you
was
know
okay
their
joke.
names. Once you
Yeah.
know their names, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
that's wrong.
I think he just takes all the letters from the alphabet, throws them in the bag, and then throws them up in the air. And whatever lands in some semi order, he just names his kids after that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think that's just, I think in the same breath that the vaping community is not the community at large, but like distributors, manufacturers, vape shops, they can't peddle positive information about vaping, right? Yeah. I think just the same that restrictions should be put on what positive information can be put out or claims that can be made. I think that if you want to talk about misinformation in the current day, I think that's misleading to be able to just egregiously put misinformation out there and advertise that even negatively. Mm-hmm. I think you should keep it on, like, okay, fucking put a jewel in their hand and let's call it for what it is, because that's what they're typically got their hands on. They're not running around with box mods. Right. So you're misrepresenting. Even if you want to make a negative argument, you're misrepresenting that negative argument. Because if you were to do a study right now or look at studies that are out there, you would find that the kids don't have that kind of stuff.
But I feel like this is like almost like subliminal messaging, trying to get the kids interested in it, like putting it in a show that's geared towards 13-year-olds.
Look what he's doing.
Right.
Look
at that big cloud. That's so cool. I want to try that.
Exactly. And it does have that sort of reverse effect, right? When they advertise all the negativity, it makes all the kids think, ooh, it's taboo.
We all went through the DARE program.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I'm one of those kids from the DARE program. Tim grew up in the DARE program.
Yeah, I feel like I had to sign some document or something.
I had a card. But I
think it had Nancy Reagan's name on it, right? It had Nancy Reagan's name on it. You were doing it for Nancy. Nancy was pushing that bit, through.
Pretty sure whatever it was, I was against the grain, and I was agnostic to the whole idea.
When someone approached me and asked me if I wanted to buy drugs, I pulled out my Nancy Reagan DARE card and said, no.
Like it was a friggin'
I
cross to a vampire or some shit.
I promise Nancy, no. I'm going to wait till I'm 16, damn it.
But you sure as shit went down and tried to buy a Twisted Sister album with an R rating on it, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
When Tipper was around, I know you tried to break the rules.
That was pretty much late 80s, though, right, Tim? Like 86,
something like
87?
that. I don't know. I'm just saying it's sort of comical to sort of watch what the government people in government love to just waste our money and their time doing.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had parents that didn't read English very well, so they just looked at the cover and, oh, that looks good. Okay. Wine and tea. Speaking of weed, no, I'm just kidding.
Let's talk about weed.
Now, the reason I went into this article was because it kind of goes back to us a little bit here, and it says like, if this bill were to pass, it says cannabis vape flavors would be banned from day one. Although the bill only refers to characterizing flavors. What would be characterizing flavors? That would be
anything that's not of its original flavor. So, for example, tobacco is not considered a characterizing flavor within e-liquid, but cherry is.
Cherry would be, that's right. And name several examples like menthol, mint, chocolate, and various fruit flavors. The wording says that shall not contain any artificial or natural flavors other than cannabis.
And the terpenes, probably. So that's how they get it, the terpenes in there. Mm-hmm.
So it made me wonder, are they trying to work this all in together, Allison, with vaping?
Yeah, because they can't justify letting flavors go through. They're like, let's end prohibition, kind of.
Because that was our argument, right? That was our argument in the beginning. It's like, well, wait a minute. We're vaping to save our lives and live longer. We can have flavors, but here's the cannabis. They've got cookies and cream. They got all this flavors. And why are they allowed to have it? Why aren't we allowed to have it? And now it seems like they're They decided that maybe it's time we start going after the cannabis
No
world.
one can have flavors but cigars, apparently.
Yeah, anything that has a flavor, damn it, I'm gonna go get that non-chocolate ice cream. I
Right.
guess that would be vanilla, right?
But
Wait,
and
you
I
can't have
and
vanilla either. Can't
Yep.
have vanilla.
Nope.
and one time
Anything
while
white
early, yeah, one time early on in all this, I kind of went to one of the dispensary websites just because they show you what they sell.
Yeah.
You can go and look through their product list. And I took screenshots of it and shared it in the group on the Facebook group page. And I'm like, look at this, Blue Dynasty something or other. And and look, I get it. You got to put a fancy name on it, otherwise it's just a bud, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But in other ways, I think that and this is definitely not a knock on the THC side of the fence. Go for it, do whatever you want, buy into whatever you like. But I think the one thing, if you want to attack THC cart potential flavor names and things like that, I think that parents need to look at something that is probably a little bit more egregious, and that would be at the edible side of the market, because it comes in the form of candy and lollipops and licorice. Yeah, I mean, crispy Rice Krispie treats, cookies, brownies, like all these things that are so commonplace in our homes already. You're worried about a flavored THC cart, which is probably going to be 10 times harder for that kid to get his hands on, even though he'll have a way to get it.
Yep.
But he's going to walk around and he's going to be in friggin' fourth period English class with a bag of what looks like, gummy bears. And you're going to think, oh, he just, his mom sent him to school with a little treat bag of gummy bears. And he's friggin' 30 milligram high as fuck, not learning a damn thing, and people will look right past it. And I'm not suggesting that the antis go after that, but I'm just saying, look at the leeway that market has.
Yeah.
Yet, we're attacked for every little stupid thing is somehow kid friendly.
Well, some of this advertising too, that these like Delta, we sell a lot of Delta 8 because we don't have legalized marijuana here. And I'm like, they make Juul look like church people. Like their advertising is nothing compared to this. And they're all saying they want to be regulated. And I'm like, why are you guys asking for this? Have you not been paying attention?
Yeah, Delta 8 will be treated under the new law as marijuana, so it would get wiped out, and then you would lose that you wouldn't be able to sell that product at your shop unless your state changes their
like Florida has. Yeah.
And cannabis oil processing for vaping with solvents like butane and CO2, the natural tempers and flavonoids, I said it right, are stripped away from the raw cannabis, which adding flavors also processes the results. Products has no flavor at all. So, I mean, God, what does that taste like?
Like diesel, dank.
It would be disgusting. I mean,
skunky weed.
I mean, you're the chemist, Paul. What would I be? Would I be vaping straight diesel or what?
It'd be very, very strange, because if they stripped away all those flavors, even in the terpene stage, but these days you can flavor a plant in the growth phase and in the flowering phase. Wow. So
you just can't add any additional flavoring. I think that
Well,
going around and plants with needles or what?
It's in
kidding. I know
it's in the formula, but I wouldn't even know what it'd taste like if you stripped it all away. It'd be weird.
Yeah,
it'd be weird.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It tastes like hash oil. The hash oil's just clean, right? Hash oil is just clean. There's no flavoring in hash oil.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
It's natural, but it'd be really weird. It'd be a very earthy flavor. That'd be about the size of it.
That's what I was thinking, something earthy like dirt.
People won't care if it gets them high. If I said go outside and eat a clump of dirt right now, it'll get you really high. Someone will do it. Don't do it. But
I mean, my experience with those things is it didn't matter what the stupid name of the flavor on the tin was. They all tasted the fucking same, and we weren't concerned about the flavor anyway. we were like, what is it? No, dude, it's fucking like 90 milligram. You know, and we're like, okay, yeah, let me hit that. You know what I mean? You're not thinking about the flavor at that moment in time. You're looking to get high.
Yeah.
So I think
that bill that protects you guys is the farm bill, right? That's
Yep.
the bill back from 2018, and they talked about that. And it says as long as it contains 0.3% or less
On the dry
delta
weight.
9 THC, that allows a small industry to grow and thrive, selling products made with illegal hemp I don't even know how to say that. Cannabinoids, again, another one, and like Delta 8.
Cannabinoids.
Yeah, how do you say it?
Cannabinoids.
Cannabinoids. I got it. Like Delta 8 and Delta 10. What's the difference between Delta 9? See, I don't know this stuff. I wish.
So Delta 9 is what's illegal. Like when you pull it back in the
Chemistry.
process to Delta 8, then it's you can have more of an effect but still stay under the dry weight. And then Delta 10 is just more of a sativa effect. It's the same exact process, just more uplifting.
Oh, okay. Because that's just weird how Delta 8 and 10 are okay, but Delta 9 isn't right now. So
Well,
that's
Delta 9 is okay as long as it's under 0.3%.
0.3%. Okay. And then, of course, it talks about what this whole thing is all about, and that's just higher taxes. The process tax structure under the CAOA is different from the small and larger companies, which is kind of, I guess, in a way, they're kind of helping out the smaller company, but in a way, it's going to hurt the smaller company in the long run.
Yeah.
Because they just can't compete. And let's see here. It says for large manufacturers, federal exceed taxes would be 5% during the first 2 years. After the law is passed, 15% during the third year and 20% during the fourth year, and then 25% after that.
So weed MSA.
Yeah. It says for smaller manufacturers, the tax rate is half as high, topping at 12.5% after 4 years. Mm-hmm. But that's not including. It's not including what state and local taxes you're going to pay on top of that as well, because that's what they're talking about. Is eventually it's going to be cheaper to buy from the black market, the guy off the street, than it is going to be for that guy to walk into a dispensary and purchase the right way. So it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad.
And I had read something about that, when it was kind of like first kind of popped up on the scene that, certain states were legal, like Colorado and other places were starting to legalize it and ready to open their doors on their dispensaries. And they were saying that it didn't matter that these people were sort of gallivanting and flaunting that whole thing, that the black market was still massively thriving because the money that it cost to go through the process to be able to sell it legally was just daunting. And so people were like, fuck it, I'm just going to still sell it, out of the back of the couch.
There was that. Yeah, I think the article was about California, Tim. I think we read it here on this page, or one of us talked about it, how it was just so booming here in California that the people that were doing it legitimately were getting pissed off and trying to figure out ways to bump them out. This was pretty interesting. It says that it already higher tax rates. And many have 15% or higher tax rate. Washington is 37%, so the price would double overnight if this were to go through.
Mm-hmm. Double. And everywhere that a lot of places that weed is legal, straight up, weed. Yeah. Delta 8 is not, because it's not regulated and they can't make any money on it.
Yeah, they can't make any money off of it.
At the end of the day, it's not about helping people. It's about helping themselves.
It's about helping themselves. But that's it for me, my articles. What do you got, Paul?
I've got very little this week until next week, because the government is releasing some data that we've all been waiting for the last, they said that they weren't going to release data on how many prescriptions are being written. And now the TGA needs to release this data, and I am waiting for this to come through. But rumor has it that some doctors in certain states have been writing up to 15,000 prescriptions for their area. Now, if these numbers are real, the original numbers that the government were thinking about, we could be talking well over 200,000 prescriptions are being written every 3 months. That's a hell of a lot, but the black market is booming here at the moment. government. It is out of control.
Yeah, because who wants to be inconvenienced by going to get a prescription?
Yeah.
Look, I understand that, but you've also now got groups of doctors that are actually listening to the real truth here. You have larger companies that are actually listening to the truth here and wanting to put their hat into the ring and help.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been since October to now, almost coming up to a year, that it's taken this long. And I asked a question to a pharmacist, an open question. I said, do you really have the time to dispense said product? No, we don't. But if someone could do it for us and we could just check the prescription and we could push it through, we would be more than happy to do it. And we've got the secured delivery network, and even to sign into a part of their website, you'd have to use your prescription. So it's already ID verified at that point.
Right.
Simple. So I hope these little conversations that have been had in the background come to fruition.
So what is the government's hope? Is that the numbers are very low?
The government's hoping that the prescription model's less than 100,000. But we're already showing that
that not that many people are vaping.
Yeah, correct.
And it's easier to get rid of.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the whole goal.
Yeah,
I mean, is there? I'm kind of curious. Is there is this a database that everyone that registers and gets a prescription, this goes in some sort of database for the government? And is that what kind of information is on there? Like when you go to fill it out.
Okay, when you go and get a prescription here, all prescriptions are tallied up at the end of whatever the cycle is. And then the TGA, then you can get the data sets on what has been done. You don't get any of the names, but you get nicotine. You get the nicotine percentages. You get what the product is, whether or not you have a repeat for that product, whether or not that doctor has written you a repeat for that 12 months. So your 3-month period, so your 4 repeats. This is the data that we really want to see. Because I'll tell you right now, if there's over 200,000 prescriptions being written, it's backfiring, and it's showing that the public do want this as a consumer item, and they're willing to do the prescription model, but the pharmacists want an easier access pathway. They're finding it very, very hard. But the other thing that came out in a letter recently to us is that they're now trying to mandate all shops undertake testing of all the products, all the liquids that they're selling, to make sure that they don't have all the nasties and they don't have nicotine. That's the first time ever that that's actually been written in a document to all of the retailers. And I've asked, and other states have also done it. So that's a positive. But second, I want to see if the figures are a lot higher than what the government has actually thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Walk me through this, okay? I go get my prescription, right? I get the prescription from the doctor. Now I go to a vape shop and get my e-liquid, and then I have to go to a pharmacy to pick up my nicotine? Or am I getting the nicotine from the shop?
No. None of the vape shops are legally allowed to sell nicotine.
Okay.
You have to either use the personal importation scheme, where you bring in X amount of nicotine, which is now capped at 100 milligram, but you're only allowed 3 100 ml bottles. You can't go and buy liters anymore and bring them in like you used to.
How many? 3 a year?
No, every 3 months you're allowed X amount. You're given X amount. But their idea is that if the products were available through the pharmacy model, and this was another part of a conversation, they would then say, well, we've got the secured network to do the deliveries, the checking, all of it, and we can actually give you real-time data, not wait 12 months.
Right.
That's what we're waiting to see.
I mean, wouldn't you rather have it that way? Where, I mean, it would suck having to go to a pharmacy every time to get your nicotine, but at least, I mean, you know, it's there. You're not having to wait for it to go through the mail and go through that whole process of it getting stuck in customs and all that other bullshit where somebody steals your fucking mail, but you're actually just walking in, getting your prescription and walking out.
Correct. And the other option, look, there's numerous other options, okay?
Nicotine store. just like a liquor store.
That's not as silly as it sounds.
Yeah.
And look, if they were to regulate vape shops here, there was proper training handed out to the staff, I'm open for that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very much open for that.
Wait a minute. Do you think shops are willing to go that extra mile, because it's going to be hundreds and hundreds of dollars for equipment to actually be able to scan that stuff and making sure that, well, of course they want to make sure it's going to the right places, the government, so they're going to keep tabs. I mean, are shops willing to spend that kind of money to have that kind of a system in their shops? So when anytime they do sell a bottle of nicotine to somebody, they're going to have to scan their whatever, their slip, and then show that okay, Paul took this much this week.
Under COVID, a few things changed, and we now have e-scripts that are actually electronically transmitted to
your phone,
to the pharmacy, or to your phone for that matter, so you can actually walk in and they just scan it.
Yeah.
So that's already there. That's in play. That came out of COVID. But e-scripts have been around for a number of years here, but they were utilised more and more under that system. Yeah. But now that could make things a lot easier. Then the government could keep a tally on what the hell's going on.
Yeah, who's getting what, how much is going out a day, a week, a month.
Correct.
That stuff.
Yeah, real data sets. And like Pippa's right there, that the doctors that are advocating against vaping here in this country, they're just public health, okay? And they all think that we're part of the big tobacco industry, which is quite comical because, sure we might read articles and studies from the tobacco industry, but no, that's a joke. And we're watching a paradigm shift here. They're even trying now, Pippa put it up before, that they're trying a DARE program now with vaping in the schools. and it's quite funny.
Do you have a Nancy Reagan there too? Do you have a Nancy Reagan?
Oh, we got a few of them. But
okay. Might work then.
The other really funny part was up in Queensland, they're saying, well, how about we use veterans, like retired servicemen and women, to go and try and stamp out the vaping scourge. And I'm like, what? How the hell is this going to work?
Yeah, throwing kids up against the wall and frisking them, and treating them like I don't know, enemies from other countries. I don't know what you think.
Well, even when you speak to the police, right, and you're walking past, and sometimes you get a sneaky grin from a copper, and he pulls out a vape. Guess what? It's a disposable. Hello. How does this work? And they see you vaping and they'll give you a sneaky little look as if, I vape as well. So you're going to tell me that all the coppers have got prescriptions as well? I don't think so somehow. They're all vaping illegal.
They're getting all the confiscated mail. They're getting all the confiscated mail.
That was the other thing I was thinking about, Ali. I was wondering, hang on a second, I wonder if they're going into the evidence lockers here and just...
Looks like my mod that looks like my mod I ordered a week ago.
Yeah.
It's even got my initials on it.
Don't check that blue resin.
But it's quite comical. They're trying to crush it on one side, yet you've got a group of doctors on the other that are coming out openly in the public and saying, no, it is better. And then you've got the very silly doctors here that just keep coming out with the same rhetoric.
Yeah.
Why?
But you said too as well. I mean, when I go in to see the doctor, he's still going to try to push me into using alternative stuff first, right?
Yeah,
He's still going
correct.
to go through that process, buy the gum, buy the patch, all that
Yeah,
nonsense.
it's noted here in all of the notes, right, with how they tried moving it through like the RACGP, Royal Australian College of General Practitioners and things like that, that this is not a first line type situation. It's a third line. It's not pushed upon you. The doctors know that there are some flaws in vaping and with some of the liquids, but even they're saying now it's way safer than smoking. They would rather you, sure, if you want to try the sprays, gums and patches, that's all consumer items now. You can walk into a supermarket, and if you're over the age of 12, you can pick up a box and you can walk to the counter and you can pay for it. Simple as that. But the doctors now, they're saying we've had more success with this than any other therapy.
Yeah. And as far as the doctor, because I think we talked about this before, but does he have some sort of a chart or knowledge of like, okay, is he asking, are you a 1 pack a day smoker? Are you a closet smoker? Are you a 2 pack a day smoker? I mean, how's he deciding what milligrams, who gets what? How much should this guy get 18? This guy get 24? This guy get 3? How's he determining that? Does he have a list that he goes through? Do you know anything about it?
There are some doctors that have done a lot of research, and I take my hat off to Dr. Colin Mendelsohn because he has taken the time to go through everything to figure out what your smoking rate was, what will be the best, and also then help titrate when it gets to that point. So, no, there are certain doctors that are willing to do the homework. Yeah. But then you have the other doctors who say, no, you can have a box of this. Right. Here you go. Here's your Chantix or Champix or whatever you want to call it.
Go chew this gum.
Yeah, exactly. But then you have some doctors that are now reading the truth. And Colin's book has helped some of these GPs actually re-educate their mind and not listen to what their masters have said. That's the good part about it.
And then of course the obvious. I mean, what happens? What is their determination when they need to start weaning you down? That's the other thing. I mean, where are they getting that information? Who's telling them, okay, if I'm going to start Paul at 18 for the next 6 months, and then the chart says I should start bumping you down to 12 for the next 3 months, that's what I'm wondering. I mean, where are they getting this? If they're not talking to us to try to realize how our process worked and what we've gone through and how we dealt with stuff, who's giving them their information that says, let's start every 2 pack a day smoker at 50. And then, within 6 months, let's bring them down to 25, and that's what I'm wondering. Do they have a system like that? Or is it just like you can walk in there and get 50 for the rest of your life?
No, the documentation that's been released by the different medical like parts of the medical community here, they were saying, well, there has to be a quit date. There has to be, you can't really go on using this. There has to be a quit date associated with it. But now they're starting to read that there are benefits from nicotine. And like the mental health community here, that's one that could, like, those rates are up around the 40 to 50% in tobacco use.
Yeah.
If you could switch half of that, 50% of that community into a safer product, that's a start. Yeah. And if you look at the numbers, like, we'll get 17 billion here in taxes from tobacco, but what they're putting out in the associated, like, all the therapies, the hospitals, like lung treatments, all of it, you're looking at over $100 billion a year.
Yeah.
Like they're getting a pittance from the taxes, but they think they're making bank on it. They're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you make a good point, and I kind of want to ask Tim and Allison, though. Do you think that's the FDA's thing, logic too, is that we really don't have an end date for our vapors? Like, there's no, do you think that is something they want to hear from us as a community and industry? Like, we're going to wean these people, and they should have like an end date. Should be, you shouldn't vape more than 2 years. Would that make a difference with the FDA?
No, I don't think so, because they're perfectly fine with us smoking cigarettes until we drop dead.
That is true. I didn't think about that. Smoke, baby, smoke.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I think if it meant, appeasing the monster a little bit, even though ultimately I don't think they'd give a shit whether we vape for 1 year or 1,000 years, if that was a possibility. I think if they could see some kind of a systematic process to it, where it effectively kind of has some sort of built-in step down, meaning the recommended program is that the first-time vapor use a 50 milligram for roughly 1 month, and then slowly start stepping themselves down to lower milligram dosages. If they felt like there was some kind of a built-in system that kind of laid it out, so they could say, oh, okay, well, I can see that there is a system. However you choose to bastardize it, though, beyond that is all entirely on you.
Yeah.
But
they're only approving 50 milligrams, so where's the step down?
They're not doing it. I think what my point is that if they were to lighten the restriction and maybe consider opening up more options, or PMTA, MGOing other things, if they felt like there was a system to it that was, because like NRTs, they kind of have a system to them.
Yeah.
Whether people try the first dosage and quit right after that because they're like, man, I went right back to another cigarette within like 48 hours, and they just throw the damn thing in the cabinet and move on with their lives. It does sort of have a wean down process built into it. Maybe vaping needs to be allowed by the FDA to have a structured system that is, you could look it up and say, well, how do I quit smoking with vaping? Because all of us are still vaping.
Right.
You know what I mean? We've made a personal choice to continue, even though we're on usually all low milligram freebase stuff 99% of the time. So we're not anywhere near what a Juul user is even touching. But if you could compare it in two hands and say, well, the gums and the patches you start at this one and you do that for a week, and then you go to this one and then you keep going. Vaping could be the same. You could say, okay, well, the system by structure is it's 50 milligram for 2 weeks, and then you go to 36, and then you go to 24, and then eventually you trade off and you switch into 18, 12, 6, and 3. It's a presented system, whatever you decide to do with it after that.
Yeah, because I think, Paul, you brought up there's a company that's doing that already, right? With disposables, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, during a break.
There's a couple of companies now, they're looking, and they've actually listened to some of the countries, and they're doing proper titration, but titration charts also come down to the user. Okay. You can benefit from nicotine use if you have certain issues, and like me, stress and everything else going on, nicotine helps me keep a fairly level head. But getting the right science behind titration, that's not an easy task. That's in anything though. Yeah. Okay. You can titrate up and you can titrate up and down. Okay. For argument's sake, I drink 10 cups of tea a day.
You bastard.
But I need to titrate down to say 8 and then 6 and get the caffeine level down in me again. I recently went back to drinking energy drinks, which I never used to.
Way worse.
No, I know. Hey, knock it off. And
that's your adult choice.
You too, Paul. I had a Red Bull today. Don't tell anyone.
All right. Well, here's the thing. But how are they going to work these tables and charts and programs out unless they listen to all the individual cases and stories from across the world?
Yeah.
If for argument's sake, you had every vapor to fill out what they're currently vaping, right? And then correlated all of that data set from across the world, you would then have patterns.
Yeah.
And age groups of patterns as well. That would start appearing. But until those types of studies are actually undertaken,
it's work related to family stress, work. I vape more. I don't vape that much, but I still, same as a cigarette. When I get in the freaking car, I'm vaping like a freaking chimney, man, because it's just my stress level being in the car, driving, bumper to bumper traffic. I mean, I just constantly grabbing that thing. And it's even now, the other day, my buddy's like, dude, it's 110. Roll the window back up, dude. The air conditioner on, but I have to vape because I'm sitting bumper to bumper traffic going 5 miles an hour for the last hour and a half. And either I'm going to kill someone or I'm going to vape. So I'm going to vape.
And when I worked on the retail side too, like a lot of the people that went back to smoking were the ones that were in such a rush to drop their nicotine level. And I'm trying to explain to them, like, that's not the thing that you need to get away from. It's the tar, the carcinogens. I was like, you're good. Just when you feel like you're not picking it up as much, then let's try. And a lot of times I'd be like, why don't you buy a small bottle of 18 and a small bottle of 11 and mix it half and half and do more of a gradual step down. So it really depends on the person.
There's so many things that go into that whole thing, just stress, work, family life, all that stuff comes into play. And and Paul, your theory of getting every vapor, we can't even get them to fill out a petition, let alone fill out one of those damn things.
No, I understand. I do understand that, but I'd also now like to see, like, curiosity killed the cat for me. I would love to see what this data set comes out from the TGA and what the levels are of what they're actually asking for.
Well, if you're in the
Philippines,
that's what
I'm going to be very curious.
You're getting 65, baby, if you're in the Philippines. I mean, shit.
Wicked headaches in the Philippines.
I just can't even. I mean, a throat hit from a Juul is bad enough, but a throat hit, for me, it was. For me, that's the only one. Even these are what, I think 50 in these.
Yeah.
And this is it's a great flavor, but the throat hit is pretty extreme on that.
Oh, yeah, but that's not like your daily driver, though, either.
The more you do it, the easier it is.
I hit that thing maybe every now and then when Tim makes me angry and I have to grab it.
Well, I mean, same. I mean, and like even with, stuff like Caliburns and stuff, I mean, I'm only doing 36, but even with 36, I'm only puffing on it here and there, or like maybe taking it with me in the truck to the grocery store so I don't have to haul big shit with me. Yeah. But I'm not going to work and this is all I have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, we talked about it already, but that's the thing. It's like we have all these things that we're willing to do and help and to make this the industry and community work for the FDA and for the government. And it's just like we can go down this rabbit hole. I mean, it's just all these things, whether it's the boxes, whether it's levels, whether it's a starter kit, all this stuff is never. It just seems like no matter what we do, it doesn't really matter to them unless we can show them somehow, some way they can profit from it. And that's the whole key. I mean, we can have.
The only thing we're killing is tobacco profits, and they don't.
That's it. That's it. We're only hurting them. And that that in the beginning, I remember 10 years ago, The big thing was, well, if this company gets sold out by big tobacco, I will never vape that juice again. And I think that's kind of changed a little bit nowadays.
Yeah.
I think where people are like, well, are they still putting out the same product? Is it a better product? Did they change it in any way? If not, I don't see why I wouldn't continue vaping that brand anymore. That's changed that loyalty
Of
because
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you're going to lose everything, you're going to hold on
Right.
to anything you can still get your hands on.
Yeah, yeah. But do you feel that for us that we smoked for so long and we know what big tobacco has done to keep their product on the shelves longer and all those chemicals that they put in there, do we still have that sense that maybe they're putting a less quality product out there? Because let's be honest, for any corporation, it's about profit, and any way they can change a product, whether it's the chemicals that are in there, the packaging, whatever way they can do it to save money, they'll do it.
Right.
Do you think that there's still that fear that if the big tobacco were to get their full control of this industry, that they would somehow? It's kind of hard when there's only
that's
4
why they're
chemicals.
they're producing, but they're also only producing high milligrams. You're looking at most of these companies are 50
Right.
and 25. So there is no step down. Do you
Right.
go from a 25 to nothing, or do
Yeah.
you stay on 25 forever? So
Yeah.
they're not really giving you an off ramp. They're just giving you an alternative.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm cool with them buying shit. No.
Yeah, whatever. I feel like all harm reduction should survive. All
Yeah,
of it.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
It's not a one size fits all solution. So
Yeah.
we need all of it.
Yeah,
Sure.
We need it all.
Yep.
Well, the
Okay.
key now, the key now is, and we've got to watch who the first pharma company that is manufacturing NRT right now, and their nicotine technology is old. It's very, very old now. Okay, it needs to be updated. We've got to watch very closely whether one of these companies will come out with their own product. That's the key.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, because their technology and the nicotine that they use for medicine that's over the counter or prescription stuff, that's a different grade of nicotine than what we're getting. Are we getting a better quality nicotine than what pharmaceutical companies are using? Is that what you're saying, Paul?
No, the nicotine that the pharmaceutical companies created, they created their own form, and it is the form of synthetic nicotine, right?
Okay.
Nicotine polyacrylics. And we, as the vaping community, and we've now come out with all these different variants of nicotine. They've been around for a long time, don't get me wrong, but we're the ones that are using them in different ways, shapes, and forms. And device, like from first generation now to 5th generation devices, we've seen major changes.
Yeah.
We've seen various salt bases, like the 4 major salt bases. We've seen synthetic, we've seen half and half, we've seen hybrid nicotines. There's different niches for different products. You can't just throw it under one banner anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
As the old saying goes, the genie's out of the bottle. Who the hell's trying to stuff it back in? Because it's never going to work.
Right.
Never. It's near impossible now.
Yeah. I was going to say the guy's name from I Dream of Genie, but I can't remember it right now. I always want a genie back in the bottle. Tim will know his name. I know he will.
Oh God.
Don't.
The only name that popped in my head is not that guy. It was from Bewitched, and the name was Darren.
That was Darren, yeah.
Yeah. But I can't remember the husband's name.
Captain something.
Yeah.
'Cause she always said Captain.
Yeah.
Lord, why do we have to go down these Google
I like messing
wormholes?
with you. Hold on, let me help you out. It'll come to somebody. Google it. Tim, give me the news. Tim.
I'm looking now.
Oh, we'll wait for Tim to Google
Hold
it.
on.
I know it's Captain because she always said Captain first.
Not Steubing.
Not Captain Stu.
No, that.
Captain Nelson.
Yeah.
Is it yeah.
Tony. Yeah. Tony. Major.
But what was the
Captain
guy's
Omega.
real name, though?
Dick Van Dyke.
No, you should. Everyone should know this. Everyone should know who Captain Nelson was, what the actor's real name was, because he was on an episode of another series where he got shot, and it was like everybody was gripped to the TV.
Yeah, that was from Dallas. What's his name?
Yep.
Yeah,
Larry Hagman.
Larry Hagman. That's right. Yeah.
That's
trivia.
right.
Some trivia during the vape show.
There you go.
Tim, are you ready for some news?
Yeah. We got
right.
one fatty article for you. Tappity tap tap Tapperton. I've got one article for you because we were all kind of crossing over today, so there was lots of news flying around. So I got lucky enough to pull one article out of my hat that no one wanted to talk about yet, but it's positive news. It is highly contradictory to a lot of what you hear in the media channels today, and what is effectively the base argument why vaping's gotta go, right? So the article, and let me share my screen. I'm sorry, my this wonderfully wireless mouse of mine dies just at the right fucking time. So I'm back to using the trackpad, and it's not comfortable at all. All right. It's a little bit slower. I apologize. Now let me make this a little bit bigger. Yeah.
That's what she said.
No. All right. Can you see that? Go
Oh,
away.
yeah.
Study shows that most young people who experiment with vaping don't become regular users. We've been saying it for quite some time. The numbers have been saying it for quite some time. The people who lie to you lie about that number when they say that, X million kids are vaping, and they include the kid that tried it once in the last 30 days and never touched it again. So the study came out. I love it, and I almost like flipped out because I'm looking at my notes here and I'm like, since when was this a Belgian Superior Health Council story? And I realized that I had left the first bullet point from my previous story at the top. So it's not about the Belgian Superior Health Council. We're moving on. So this one actually, hold on, see, look. This is what it's like to trackpad, folks. University of Queensland, Australia. All right, so this article states, a major new study has found that global, now this is not demographically focused on Australia, this is global, rates of adolescent vaping are low despite continuing alarmist scare stories. So researchers from the University of Queensland, Australia, combed through WHO data. They went right through data that the WHO was peddling for more than 150,000 young people in 47 different countries. They said the WHO research was part of its huge global youth tobacco survey between 2015 and 2018. The new study, which was published in the scientific journal Addiction, I never heard of that one before, found that while 9% of adolescents reported vaping in the past 30 days, only 1.7% were reported as frequent vapors. Now, I don't know what to quantify frequent as. Does that mean daily? Does that mean more than 4 times a month? Does that mean... So all we know is that number is significantly lower than the total number that were at least tried at one time.
Right.
In the last 30 days. The Australian study team concluded that this suggested that most young people who vaped were experimenting but not forming a vaping habit. And I think we've heard little blurbs of that around, that most kids, are pretty honest about their vape use, as opposed to the Valley scare where they didn't want to talk about what they put in their bodies because they didn't want mommy and daddy to shove them in the basement for the next month and a half with no Fortnite or PlayStation. They self-reported incorrectly, exactly. But with that said, I think most kids when they were surveyed about their vaping habit, that they did say, yeah, they tried it once in the last 30 days, and then all the researchers went, aha, there's another vapor. There's another vapor. And then they ramp the number up exponentially, and they make it look like there's a shitload of kids that are just vaping out the wazoo. So there's a quote I wanted to read from one of the researchers here. Bear with me as I slowly scroll. Lead author Dr. Gary Chan. You're going to hear a lot of quotes from Dr. Gary Chan. I don't know what he does or where he's from. I don't know what UQ stands for. Paul, would you care to comment on what UQ stands for? University of Queensland? Am I right, wrong, or otherwise?
Yep. Correct.
Okay, hold on my cable.
These eyes, these no.
Now it's muted.
He's muted, Timmy. Timmy, I'm gonna get me one of those.
No. When I unplug the cable and plug it back in, it auto mutes me. I can't. Yeah. So anyway, Gary Chan from the University of Queensland's National Center for Youth Substance Use Research. Why do these stupid organizations have to have like 25 words in their name? Can't they just acronym it, and then we'll just figure it out later, okay? His quote was, our study found the prevalence of vaping in low and middle income countries was low. 1 in 12 adolescents reported vaping over a 30-day period, but only 1 in 60 vaped more than 10 days over the 30-day period. So, dramatic drop in those that continued on with whatever they were using vaping for. And my guess is out of those, that 1 in 60 days probably was just, being shown how he can get a good buzz off of it. So he was probably doing it a lot more often than the other people. So moving on with that one, I got to go to page 2 on my notes. He said the combination of eye-catching packaging and the availability of nicotine-free products could help explain the study findings. I don't know. What do you guys gather from that? That kids were just not engaging with the nicotine infused products and that they were going to nicotine free products just because of the flavorings or whatever? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
The dramatic drop, he said, a combination of eye-catching packaging and the availability of nicotine free products could help explain the study findings. Those two elements together. Are you trying to say that a nicotine-free product package looks way better than a nicotine nicotine-loaded package? I don't know what that comment is intended to say.
It's all about the fonts, Tim.
It is. We're going back to the whole font argument. So his next quote, as such, said, "E-cigarettes are often sold in colorful packages with highly palatable flavors that appeal to adolescents, and this could lead to experimentation but not continued use. While some e-cigarettes contain levels of nicotine, adolescents can also vape in non-nicotine or low-nicotine e-cigarettes, which are less addictive." But, I mean, there's no... Is this part of the survey? You're saying that it's available, that they could make this choice, but how do you know what they really truly are vaping or not vaping, whether it's experimentation or continued usage? Are kids that cognizant of the whole nicotine argument? Are they terrified of nicotine now? I don't think most kids are going to want to just go for the non-nicotine. They're going to be like, what's going to fuck me up?
Yeah.
How can I get that rush?
Or could they be using it for other purposes to add it to another thing? Can you do that? I mean, I don't know. Can you add that to THC to help with flavor?
It won't mix. No, it won't mix.
No, it won't mix, right?
Right. So, I mean, I think he's saying that this could be a factor in some of the drop that kids went. But, I mean, there's reports out that they say kids are vaping and they don't even know there's nicotine in it. When the package in font that's bigger than your eyeballs says this product contains nicotine. So, I mean, it's not like it's rocket science.
It's like those, remember the kids that would think they're getting drunk because they think they're drinking alcohol, but there's no alcohol in it, and then they're pretending they're drunk.
Yeah, kind of like the O'Doul's experiment.
Yeah, the O'Doul's experiment. Yeah. I'm so messed up, man.
Yeah.
I drank 10 O'Doul's. 10.
The Australian team also found that higher tobacco taxes were associated with increased youth vaping rates. So this is the argument that's sort of counterintuitive to what kind of a lot of what's going on applies. So they're saying because cigarettes and stuff cost more, that kids went to the cheaper option, which was theoretically vaping, and so therefore the increased rates have to do with the fact that vaping is cheaper for them than smoking cigarettes. Whereas now he's speaking on behalf of, I don't know who he's speaking on behalf of. In Australia, yes, I know a pack of cigarettes is like wicked friggin' expensive.
Yeah.
I don't know what vaping would have cost. I'm pretty sure with all the issues now, I mean, it's all black market stuff. It isn't over the counter crap, right?
Well, Tim, I mean, Paul too. I mean, you can't buy nicotine, right? So anything that you buy there is always going to be nicotine free. So the kids just can't get the nicotine because they don't have a prescription, or they got to get it through the black market. Maybe that's what they're going with, Tim.
Well, I'm thinking because this was a global study in general, that they're looking at countries in totality, right? So let's say there are plenty of countries that allow vaping as much as they allow smoking. So if the countries are applying tobacco taxes that cause cigarettes to be far more expensive, but vaping isn't touched as much, I mean, I guess there's some validity to that statement that a kid would go buy the cheaper thing. Right. You know, and it has flavors, so why not? You know, doesn't taste like that nasty cigarette or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think that applies here, though, necessarily. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, it depends on what state you go to, but some states have enacted ballooning vape taxes.
Yeah.
So you're effectively overtaxing the harm reduction method, and you're leaving the more deadly option at a lower price on the shelf and far more readily available. Mm-hmm. So some of this commentary is a little offset, so I don't know what to make of that. This could suggest that young people in countries with a higher tobacco tax might be substituting traditional cigarettes with e-cigarettes. Very possible.
That's a part statement, but when you look at Australia and New Zealand, Australia is the highest tax now in the world on tobacco products, period.
Right.
A pack of cigarettes now is the very low end. You're looking at 35 plus for a pack of 20s. Okay.
Right.
And then you look at rolling tobacco, like a 50-gram pouch of rolling tobacco, you're looking at around 130 to 150. It's hardcore in comparison. But the funny part is that we still pay GST on all of these products, and we also pay a GST component, which is 10% when we import these products now. So they're getting 2 bites of the cherry. They're already getting 20%, right? They're already getting 20% tax. And then once you factor in shipping and everything else, that all has GST as well. So they're getting 3 bites at the cherry before they even start. And no one breaks it down that way.
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was traveling to Australia and there were challenges for me internationally going into certain countries. Sometimes I didn't know if I could or couldn't bring my vaping stuff. And then there's certain ones that I knew that I absolutely couldn't bring it to. So, but when I did go to Australia, I remember, I don't think it was 35 a pack at that time. I think it was a little bit cheap, maybe 24 or 25, maybe a little bit higher. But I remember getting on the train going from, Leonard Street down into Redfern, and I friggin' left the 2 packs of cigarettes sitting on the ticket machine when I went to buy my ticket. Ooh. And I realized what I had done, and I thought, it was basically like leaving a diamond ring, at the pool, at the swimming pool, and you went home and you're like, oh shit, so yeah, you're a little bit more cognizant of that. So he previously recommended that social media platforms should be able to age restrict content to protect young people, which YouTube does, right? I mean, this show is age restricted, so technically kids can't watch this. And he was speaking after another University of Queensland study found that TikTok exposed young people to videos that could reinforce a positive attitude towards vaping and e-cigarette usage. I have not seen any of those videos.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they live or where they reside. They must be on vaping TikTok or something. I hear people kind of quantify areas of TikTok.
It's another
when they-
section of TikTok.
like how did I get to cooking TikTok, or how did I get to kid TikTok? I'm like, I don't know, how did you get there? I don't think I've ever been there.
Yeah.
Considering how accessible these videos are to young people, and previous studies associating exposure to vaping-related content with increased e-cigarette use, age restrictions on social media platforms are recommended. And I absolutely think that's a reasonable comment. I mean, I think if anybody's going to put anything out on social media, as long as you're within the parameters and allowances for that social media platform, each content creator should be given an option to go ahead and age restrict whatever it is they put out there. So that, I mean, and I'm not just talking about vaping, I'm talking about whatever scandalous, sort of half-cocked, storytelling they want to provide. It would seem that TikTok is a little bit unrestricted at times. So I don't know. But with that said, I said, we all pretty much know that there's no such thing as a youth vaping epidemic. It's all garbage statistics twisted to scare the public into thinking there's a problem so that their agenda receives unfettered support. So, but I thought it was a good article, just simply for the fact that, this is a researcher effectively coming out and stating what we kind of already know to be true. Will this information get into the ear holes of people who are antis? No, because it's on Vapor Round Co. UK website. I don't know that too many non-vapors will end up over there. But again, good story. Good story. And that, my friends, since there's no real advocacy articles to talk about right now,
It's all quiet.
it's all quiet on the Western Front, as they say.
Which is
That's
scary.
that's your news. It's been an all news show for us today.
Yeah,
So
it is.
With that,
It's
back to you, John, in the studio.
except for the garbage bag story. Everything else was
Yeah.
That was the
completely.
best one, though.
It's an epiphany for everybody tonight.
I'm telling you, I can't wait to use that at the supermarket.
For those of you who have no idea what we're just talking about right now, I ask you to watch the playback of the show. When I was almost silenced and moved on to content in the show, and I had to break through and tell everybody about the trash bag.
Yeah, it's hard hitting journalism here on the Wednesday Night Live show.
Totally unbiased.
I'm telling you, I'm going to use it. I can't wait. I'm going to be in that aisle. I'm going to be, as soon as that person grabs those garbage bags, I'm going to hit them with that. And it's like, hey, you know what? And they're going to ask me to please step away or something like that.
You're going to be forcefully removed from the grocery store for
Yeah.
harassing the
It's
garbage
not
bag.
it's not a pickup line for garbage bags, all right? So
Yeah.
knock it
Hey,
off.
Hey, little lady. Let me
hey,
show you a
guess
trick.
what? Hit them with that. Hey, guess what, beautiful?
Okay, well, I
That
can't
garbage
have
bag,
That's a blow
as
your
you're
mind.
holding a roll of duct tape and rope. Oh, you guys are terrible. Well, that was our show.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
There you go.
I got nothing.
Yep.
Oh, good show, guys. A lot of good stuff out there, and a lot of stuff we like talking about. Every now and then we want to have a little bit of positive stories. The Philippine story, positive story. Everything else is pretty positive. So, but those stories are hard to come by. So we'll do our best to try to get those in there. Hopefully next week we'll have some people come on and share their stories with us again. This is something we want to do at least every other week. Have people come in and share their vape journey story with us, and it's always fun hearing those stories. I enjoy them, especially the new ones. I like hearing the new ones. I know most of us. Hey, I've been smoking for vaping for 10 years. Those are great stories, but I love hearing that guy is just like a couple weeks in, a month in, and just to kind of hear the same things that we went through and be able to help that person. Because I think we all had some little tips and tricks that we did that worked. The straw in the mouth when you weren't vaping, one of the things, one of the best advices I ever got, it was on the Zamblebach page. Because what I've noticed was my mom was always in front of me. So I was noticing I was going down that rabbit hole where I was doing like 40 mils of juice a day. And somebody was like, dude, just take it and don't put it in front of you. And that worked. That worked for me. And that was a little trick that I probably wouldn't have ever thought of doing it, just kind of keeping it out of eyesight, not in front of me.
Yep.
Yeah. I bet it's weird though, because when I start looking around, like at the vape shops and stuff like that, you don't see the person they don't hit it and put it away. You know what I mean? They hit it and it's still in their hand. It's still.
They don't know what kind of customer you're going to be. They might need that immediately.
That is true. I didn't think about it. Well, I'm just even talking about like the customer in general too. I mean, they don't just like hit it and put it away. It's always in our hands. It's always around us, and I get it. Depending on what kind of smoker you are, I think that also kind of applies to what kind of vapor you're going to be too, as well. For
and that's
a time.
one of those safe havens where you can vape there.
Yeah, that's.
Be discouraged,
In the beginning, that was nice, before anybody was really kind of paying any attention to us, it seemed like not that I did. I don't think I ever walked into Walmart or a supermarket vaping, I always left it in the car or it was in my pocket. But there was times where I was in certain areas where I was like, I can get away with this because all they're going to smell is strawberries,
Right.
But yeah. Nowadays that has all changed.
Yep.
You're walking through Six Flags and nobody would bother you. That was great too. Now you can't even do that. You got to go into the smoking area if you want to vape it. But not Allison. Allison,
I'm a badass.
She's the
right in
badass.
front of Mickey Mouse. What's up?
Allison walked in and said, "Mickey, where is it, Mickey?"
That's right.
I want this. You want this to be the happiest place on earth? Please let me vape.
I'm changing the words. It's a small vape after all. It's a small vape.
A question, because I haven't been to a theme park in a couple of years, and you did go to. Did they ask you did they look through your purse, or when you opened? Did they look and see that device? They didn't. I was wondering that because
you walk through a device, and some people they may go to the side to open their bag, but I guess they can see in detail. And I had like 3 disposables in my bag.
Right.
One of them could have potentially been Delta 8.
Could have potentially been.
Accidentally.
Then it would have been a really happy place.
Yeah. So, and nothing. So I was like I felt like I got away with something. I was like, oh, shit, they didn't pull me out.
I was just wondering, because like, all right, we're guys.
No drug sniffing mice or anything around.
Yeah, we're not carrying a bag around. We're not carrying a purse around. So this thing is in our pocket. So I was wondering how we would be treated when we went through there. And
that's why I brought disposables, because I figured if I had to throw them out, at least I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's the thing too. I was just thinking, because I'm getting ready to go to Six Flags, and I was thinking, do I go this route or do I go this route? Am I going to get in trouble for either or? Should I just leave them in the car?
I would do a disposable, especially because then it's not as big of a cloud that you're putting out too. So you can be a little bit more discreet with it.
Yeah. Keep that in mind, people. It's funny because we went from worrying about how much we could put on an airplane with us to now worried about how much can we take into the theme park and what we're allowed to take into the theme park. All right, guys. Anything else before we go? No? Good.
I'm good.
Thank you, everybody out there, for watching tonight. We'll be back next week. We should have some people sharing their stories next week. Tim will have current vape news. Paul will have international news, and Allison will brighten our day with some positive stories.
Yeah, and Philip's be on.
I'm putting the pressure on Allison. All right, guys. We'll see everybody next week, and have a great rest of your week and weekend. And peace and out.